Hello, everyone. You guys hear me?
Hi, Praise. Are you online?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, so let me make you a host.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me real time? Like, I'm not even sure if this is happening real time.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, let me.
Some people voice service keep on side.
I appreciate that you guys took
Well,
end. And now that Praise is host, um, take over. The floor is yours.
yeah, I can see myself as host. Am I the host? Yeah. Well, I'm host in the show. All right then. I'll probably just move on with it then. Um, just lastly, just to be sure, can everyone hear me? Let me see that. Let me check in the chat section.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. First of all, first things first, it's congratulations to every Arsenal fan in the house. We won it for the 14th time. It's not an easy thing really. For everyone who looked it down on us that will not qualify for Europa, they qualified. Congratulations to us, really. That's crazy. Um, yeah, so I'm probably going to show this, probably keep going back to it all day long. But yeah, congrats to every single person. So today we'll be talking about designing. We're supposed to talk about brand people experience, basically designing people's experiences to shape a brand. Uh, but technically, yeah, we would be going through a journey. I'll be taking everyone through a journey of 2 years and counting of um, how I built the tribe, a brand that has been in the works for over 2 years. Sort of like my personal brand, but not my personal brand. It's still confusing, sort of, even for me that wants it. But we are going to be going through how the people who form up the tribe, uh, how we walked around, how I walked around their experiences to build the brand that I have, to build the brand that Neptune is, and to build the culture that you know as the tribe today. Well, just before we get started, the first thing I want to clear off is the tribe is not a company, it's not a design agency, it's not a community either. It's basically sort of like a cult, a see it more like a closed, exclusive, tight knit group of um, of people who have been together for a very, very long or short time. It's really, really that dependent. So that's what the tribe is. The tribe is not another WhatsApp group, or it's not just another thing. No, it's not that. I hope that probably answers that first question. So let's get started. Firstly, let's introduce you guys to these two people. So this is Baz. I'm not going to be using full names because I don't know. It's just what we call them. So this is Baz. Baz is the guy in the background, and this is Lumi. These guys, and I don't know why. The reason why I'm introducing them to you first is because they're like the vibe center of the tribe. You would think that I am. If you think I am, then you don't know me at all. I'm not the vibe center of anything. Uh, these are the vibe center of the tribe. For any crazy thing or any weirdest conversation we have, they are probably the ones that created it. That's their job, basically. Amongst about 8 other people, these guys have come together from different walks of life, from different circles and services to form a family, basically. And I'll be starting a story, but just before I continue, Bright, we won a cup in 2018, or 2017, so it's okay. Thank you very much. Now back to what I was saying. So first, it wasn't Christmas. The way the story started was in January of 2018 when I decided to start a company, which will eventually become Neptune. It was a really, really, really conflicting decision because we couldn't really settle on a name. We used to be a light hub, but I mean, Light Hub was really not the kind of company I wanted to run. I had this in my head. I always wanted to. The way I had my company in my head was, if you were going to mention companies like Lando Pentagram, and you mention my company, it needs to feel like it's among those companies. Lando Pentagram, Interbrand, uh, CGH, and co. When you mention my company, it should fit. And so it took us 3 months to come up with the name. And when we figured out the name, figured out how much we want to charge, figured out the kind of clients we want to work for, we knew that we needed to have a really, really, really good team, right? I was just starting out. I was just like 3 years into design, but we knew that we needed to have a really, really, really good team. And knowing what a good team is, I had worked with Fort Canvas the year before, and I knew exactly what a good team should look like. And I also know how much it's going to cost to get a good team. And because we're a startup, right? It was like two things going against each other. You get like a team, getting a good team versus paying them, right? So it was really, really crazy. Plus, even if I was going to even hire myself, basically, like assuming I wasn't boss of anything, and I was probably the boss of me and the normal designer was probably separated. I I would not be able to even afford myself, right? I knew that if I was probably another person, I would not be able to pay my money. So I basically understood the context of my issue or my problem at the moment. So what did I do was that what I always do when I have problems, I call my guy, like, hey Victor, what's up? How did you choose your team at Fort Canvas? That was the way I fixed out the question. And Victor said, and I would never forget it. I mean, he said a lot of things, basically. He shalaye a lot. But one of the things he said, word for word, was if you can't pay for top talents, you can groom it, you can build it. And that was like what stuck with me, basically. That became the driving force of everything, right? If I can't pay for talent, I should groom it, I should build it. I should teach them, get really, really guys who are not so good, and then teach them. And it was really, it looked nice at the beginning. I mean, teaching, what's so bad about teaching, right? What's so hard about teaching? And that's what I thought it was. I thought teaching was not so hard. Then I had to pick the team. And these guys, I'm going to be telling stories of about 5 to 6 people on how I met them. And the first person would be, let's say, Kalumi, right? Kalumi I didn't meet Kalumi per se. I knew he existed because he used to be a social media handler in school. But my partner was the one who knew Kalumi, and he he reached out to me and said, we should hire this guy. He's a designer. And I said, oh, really? He said, yes. Okay. I said, okay, no problem. Let's see. Then I saw his work, and he was a horrible designer, really, really horrible. And but then I didn't have a choice, right? I kept on reminding myself that, I mean, bro, you can't pay for talent. I mean, but you can build something. So I thought, yeah, let's see what can go with Pelumi. So he joins the team. Fast forward 1 year, I was still not good, and it was quite crazy. But that story is for the future of this slide. But it was quite crazy with Pelumi because, I mean, you would like, okay, do this, do this, do this. He he would see good work, and all he would be saying is, God, when I go do this thing, God, when I go do this thing. But he will not do anything. He will not learn how to do basic, simple stuff. He's just going to basically keep saying, God, God help me, God, when I go do this thing. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? But that's below me, right? Let's talk about Timmy. Timmy is I call Timmy the fuel of the tribe, right? Timmy is not a designer. He's not anywhere close to being a creative. Timmy was a model, and we met at a fashion project where he volunteered to handle the logistics for the event. And what blew my mind about Timmy was, I mean, I was in charge of the event branding and the event designs, but what I was in charge of the branding and event design. But what blew my mind about Timmy was that Timmy was going to sacrifice almost anything to ensure that something worked out, right? To get total Timmy to get something to display. He was going to go to the far ends of the earth to ensure that it happened. And it was really, 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 really crazy for us, right? Like I knew I needed more designers, but the moment I saw Timmy, and I was like, I don't even care. I want Timmy on the team. I just want this guy on the team. I want someone who can actually execute stuff, execute stuff. And then he joined the team. And then we have this guy. This guy is a very, very recent person, Victor. Victor joined last year, July. And the funny thing about Victor was he's how do I explain this? He's not the common interviewee. Imagine calling someone for an intern and he wears lace, a blue lace to be precise, with holes around everywhere. And he went to the office, and when I saw him, I first laughed. I basically laughed. Like, what? What? Why are you wearing lace, bro? The guy was looking at me like as if I should not be laughing. It was funny actually. We had the conversation, and of course, he was a plain ass novice, completely novice. But yet I hired him nonetheless. I hired him because, I mean, for someone to have the courage to wear lace to an interview, you must probably have the courage to do something else. So I left him around. I left him there. Just before I go to the last person, and then we had Theophilus. Theophilus was someone that always knew me, but I didn't know him. And then the first day I saw Theophilus, I went to greet his brother, because me and his brother were in the same department. And then when I got into the house, I saw Theophilus, and Theophilus wanted to enter the wall. I'm like, bro, what the heck is wrong with this dude? And fortunately for us, his birthday was in 2 weeks. And I was like, yo, bro, your birthday is in 2 weeks. Happy birthday in advance. Come see us at the office whenever you can. And so we're working on our first project for the year. That's in 2018. We're working on our first project for the year, August. And then we had a really, really tight deadline. We're trying to figure out this particular icon, but we couldn't really figure it out because we didn't know what concept to use. And then Theophilus came in and said, oh, this is my birthday. He bought bread. I'll never forget. Bread was his gift to us on that day. I tried to drop the bread. And then he sat down and was looking at me and Sheil. And all of a sudden, I just looked at him and said, yo, bro, what's up? Why not join us and sketch something? He was like, really? I said, yeah, sketch something. Just try out something on the table and let's see. And he sketched something. And I looked at what he sketched, and it was amazing. And I picked it and said, Shane, what do you think about this? And Shane was like, yeah, it works here. I said, it works here. It works here. Then we took it, refurbished it, turned it around, and then presented it to the client. And it turns out that particular option was what went, the client liked it straight up. And I called you, like, hi, what's up? Would you like to join the team? He said yes. And then he joined. Another person to join the team would be Baz. That's the first guy I told you about, besides Palumi. Baz, when Baz joins the team, he 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 was not an event designer. He was not a graphic designer. It was, in fact, he was not having any skills that we needed in the company. Yet when he hit me up and said he wanted to join the team, the question I asked him was, "What do you want to do?" He said, "Yeah, he can volunteer for events, really, because we did event management. He said he can volunteer for events." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, no problem. Send an email." And I told him send an email because I wanted to discourage him. Apparently, he sends the email. The thing was, actually, it pissed me off that he sent me an email. But then I said, "Okay." He sent an email. Replied him, "Come and join us." Apparently, he joined us. Funny enough, he joined us. And the funny thing about Baz was that for the entire length of when I was in Neptune, running Neptune, Baz did not exactly, really did not really exactly do any hands-on design work, right? He was more of the center. I don't know if you guys have seen Suits, and remember this episode where Katrina Bennett was trying to fire the associates when they merged with Zane, Robert Zane, when Avi Specter merged with Robert Zane, and they were trying to fire the executives and the associates. There's one person where she was trying to fire because he was not particularly top notch. And Donna told her and said that you can't fire this person because even though he's not top notch, he's the link that draws everyone together, sort of like the vibe of the team. And that's where Baz was for us, right? And so he was on the team. And I could go on and on, mentioning each and every single person of how I met them and how they joined the team. But that's like a story for another day. But then I'm going to talk about 5 interns which we met. And this particular story I'm about to say is very, very important to the next slides we're about to go through. So on June, July, we opened positions for interns to join us. And when we opened the interns, 6 people applied or 5 people applied. And on the day of the application, we took them to join. And now you guys should listen to this. Really, it's a really, really funny story. Now, the first person came in, and the first person was someone that we worked together before. And it was quite easy. I knew I was going to get in. We asked him common questions. He answered, then he got in. All right. My second person came in and did the same thing with him. And the person got in too. Now, this particular person came in again. His name was, I can't really remember his name again. His name was, I think, David. Yes, I can't remember. When he came in, he was busting my brain. And then I can remember the first question I asked him was, and this was shortly after we had rebranded, and I'll get to that story. But the first question we asked him was, what do you think about creativity? And his answer was totally different from the question. His answer was that some people are not creative. Creativity is selective. Some people are born creative, some people are not born creative. Some people are just human beings and wasting their lives. That's what he was saying it. And I was legit laughing, and I'm like, okay. And then we're like, okay, let's assume that, okay, you're just being hyper, right? Let's really figure out whether you can really fit into our team. And they were asked the next question and said, if you were in a team and somebody fucked you up, so you're in a team, you're supposed to submit tomorrow, and somebody fucked up, somebody probably did not do his work that allowed you guys to submit on time. And then you guys get to your supervisor the next day. What do you do? He said his reply was, hey, it's not my fault now. The person fucked up. I'll tell him I don't have fucked up, and then we'll just move on. And I'm like, whoa, really? It's like, yeah, that's not his fault and everything. Yeah, we are still on first impression doesn't matter. We're still on first impressions doesn't matter. And I was like, whoa, really? It was like, yeah, like what concerns him? Okay, good, no problem. Yeah, I told him what does he think about design, and he was like, he just randomly talked about how design his software, how he knows plenty software, and he's passionate about design because he knows software and everything, and blah 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 blah. I said, okay, no problem. So when he left, I can remember I asked the guys at the interview table. I said, guys, what do you think? And Tolu, you guys are seeing the chat. You see Tolu and Shio Lubemiru, who said this, and I'll never forget. He said, we don't need him. He needs us. And it was a funny rebuttal, but then I was like, okay, yeah, let's hire him nonetheless. Then we hired him. And then there's this last guy, and this last guy is someone that till today, whenever I think of how I met him, it's I'm not sure, right? And he was referred by Theophilus to apply for the internship. And when I saw him, I didn't know what to think. I really, really didn't know what to think, really. He was just there. He was plain. He was balanced. He was just there. Like, remember in my head, when I was just thinking EJ, in my head, EJ, but I'm not sure I knew me and me. Just gambling with him. And then, lucky for his life, his gambling fell on hire him. So we did, and we hired him. And then the funny thing is that, because remember you guys we talked about how sorry, give me that again. Remember we talked about how Victor told me to hire client and groom them, yeah? So doing that was what I thought I did, but I had a team size of 23 people for a business that didn't have clients yet. So technically we were basically doing vibes and inshallah, right? We're just rumor, like Jomo, just moving it that way. We get meeting. I'm like, guy, team size of 23 for what? But one of the fun parts of it was like, remember this particular project we worked on for the Oni of Ife, where every single person was in the room, a brand sprint of about 12 hours. And the people we thought that were not designers were key in how we actually did that work. The work was across naming, identity, event design, content creation, everything, right? And I can remember that when we were trying, one of the things we were trying to do was that we were trying to really, really figure out what's the Yoruba culture around the Olojo festival. We're trying to create, there's a new festival that we're trying to create later that year, and we're trying to design for the festival. So what's the idea around the Olojo festival? What are the keys for each of these Yoruba entities? And turns out these guys are like Yoruba humans, and then they were the ones like breaking it down. We listened to the Akure anthem, Idori anthem, broke down the Onis crown, and basically all of these things were not like based on we the designers. They were much more on the end of these guys we thought were not designers. And then the entire class was, the entire team. I mean, to stay awake overnight is not something easy, especially when you're students, right? The entire vibes and everything, the jokes, the laughs, the sarcasms, everything came from these guys, right? And that was like one of the positives. But for most part, we had a team size of 23, and most of the work were done by less than 10, right? So what exactly went wrong? And this is where I think a lot of people miss it when they are trying to figure out building cultures or designing experiences for people. The first thing that went wrong for me is that volume does not mean potential. Sometimes you don't need more people. Sometimes you really, really do not need more people, right? So I'm going to try and like clear it across board. When you're designing experiences for your brand, right? Designing those experiences should not be for new people. It should really, really should be for people who already exist, right? So I had about 4 or 5 people, and I was just concerned about getting more people into the team and forgot entirely about people who are already in the team. And so I was so focused on having that volume and thinking that the volume would give me the top-notch talent I'm looking for. And that was like a really, really big mistake, because at the end of the day, only 20% of the team was doing 80% of the work. So volume never really does not mean potential. You do not need more. You need more clients, yeah, but to really figure out or to really determine or build your brand, you don't need more people. That's one thing I know. You don't need more people to build your brand. Brand loyal, bigger, better brands, right? Better brands are not built around numbers. Better brands are built around trust, right? One person trusting you is bigger, it's way, way bigger than 100 people distrusting you. So it's not about how many people you have, right? It's about how many people you can actually directly impact. That's the thing about that's the thing about building brands or designing experiences. So the first mistake I did was that I forgot about people I already had. And I was concerned about getting more people into it. You get. So if you're running a business and you're trying to get customers, what you should focus on, and this is what Seth Godin would always say, stop focusing on getting customers. Focus on the ones you already have. If they love you, so this is unmuted, someone should be uh if they love you, please if you are unmuted, you should please mute yourself or something. Okay. All right. So if they love you, right, they would refer someone. They will bring someone along, right? People are always inclined to do that. If they love you, they will bring somebody along. A good example is Nifrice. Nifrice of Ferromi of Carrywise, right? People started, they loved his, and they'll post on Twitter. People will see, okay, this guy like Nifrice on Twitter, and then they would tell someone, okay, I like Nifrice. Then they would do anon, they would do anonymous, and they would do whatever they used to do, and then it just builds that way, right? And then when you hear Nifrice, you know that okay, 5 people than 10 people you know on Twitter already said they look good. And so in your mind, when you're ordering Nifrice, you're not expecting anything less. That's what the brand is. The brand is not about numbers. It's about how many people can trust you, right? It's about the level of trust. How high or how well can they trust you? And then you don't get those from having 100 people or 50, 100 people. Of course, yeah, 5,000 people trusting you is way better than 2 people trusting you, right? But 2 people trusting you is way better than nobody trusting you, definitely, right? So that's that for brands. That's for people who are getting customers. For those who are building a team, you want to ensure that the people you currently have are actually maximized, right? You want to ensure that you are using them well enough before you're constantly thinking about adding more people, right? You might have this fantasy of having 50 people in the company. You probably watched the amazing movie like I did about the fit, and you want that idea of able to work and want to be able to walk into your office and greet somebody, slap them on the wrist, walk a little bit, then present that person on your left, and then jump around. You want to be able to have those group selfies, do in-house office games and all that stuff. You want to be able to do that. It's fun, but sometimes really what you really need is 2 people who are always loyal to you. Because if you have 23 people and 20 of them are just with you because they are just looking for a better offer, then you are basically fucked up, right? So again, volume doesn't mean potential. It doesn't matter how many people you have. You just need people who are loyal to you. That's why I said potential is limitless, attitude is the gauge. Now, second one is assuming now you have little people, you have these people that you're focusing on. What's next? You can be that person, but that's cool. But if you don't fit into my culture, if you have a bad attitude, God forbid, get the fuck out, right? And that is what differentiates a lot of brands from other brands, right? Now, the first thing, the number one differentiate brands from general businesses. Now, assuming you have specific audiences and specific people or specific team members, what makes you different from another person is when you can really figure out uh, whether or not the attitude actually aligns with yours. Like I said, and I will keep saying again, not everybody can be your client. Even for Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola is not saying everybody is their client. But there are people who have diabetes, right? There are people who have diabetes who still drink Coca-Cola. But hey, what exactly is different? There's something Coca-Cola is looking for in their client. There's a primary client for them. That's who they serve. It's just like your eye. There's a main vision, there's peripheral vision. The idea that you can see your main vision well does not mean your peripheral vision is fucked up, right? So when you're doing stuff, stop focusing on your peripheral vision. Focus on your main vision. That's the thing that matters. So focus on the main things that make you you, right? You run a team, focus on things that you hold dear to yourself. If someone has a bad attitude, fire them. basically, right? You you are building you are building a you're building a community, or you're building an audience for your business, right? And you know this particular audience is really not, they are not good for the community, or they don't really fit your ethics and your ideas, right? Drop them, right? Because we are in we're in a world that has about some point something billion people. It means that if you drop a little 100 people, you can get another 100 more that fit into your books. Now, when I mean attitude, I'm not talking about some good and evil kind of stuff. The attitudes can differ based on who you are, what region you are in, how you determine good or bad. And I'm not bothered about that. I don't even care about that at all. Right? Determine whatever attitude you want. You don't need to kill people to actually like you. If they're not killing people, fire them. If they're not, you then need to imagine people who sell guns, right? Of course, they will not sell guns to people who are against gun control, even though generally or universally gun control is good, basically. People who sell guns are going to sell to people who have the tendency to want to kill, basically, right? And so they want people to want to be able to kill. They want murderers, and murderers are the reason why gun people who make guns sell. Right? They don't just sell to the military. They want to sell to civilians, make more money from me. And that's the way it goes. So you need to figure out who your client should be and how they should act, and then service those ones. So don't just say, I want to serve this kind of clients. Apart from figuring out their potential, you really want to know that you really want to figure out that they actually align with your attitude. If I'll get to your question, actually. Uh, that being said, the next thing I learned actually would be diversity is key, consensus is the door. And I hope you guys saw the pun in that. Basically, I can't explain it. If you didn't see, you should not be a designer. No jokes, man. If you can't see that pun, God forbid. But basically, diversity is key, uh, and consensus is the door. What this means, or what this is supposed to mean, is that you want diversity as much as possible. You want people with different ideas and different opinions on things. Or much more importantly, they have nothing in common. Your brand will never ever move forward, right? Someone says that a set of people with the same opinion is a mob, a set of people with different opinions is a market. But a set of people, set of people with different opinions agree on something is an audience, right? So there's a reason why an audience is called an audience, right? An audience is because they're called an audience because they all agree on one thing, to listen to something, basically, right? So you are you are a good example is, say you are in, let me see, you're in a football stadium, considering the fact that Arsenal just won an FA Cup final. In case you missed it, Arsenal won an FA Cup final. Aubameyang scored 2 goals. In case you just missed it, just to repeat that. But then you are in a football stadium, right? Two teams are playing. Now the fun part of it is that everybody in that place is different, right? Every single person in that place is different, right? They are from different backgrounds, they're from different places. But yet at that moment, they all have one thing in common. They all love football, right? They all love football. And that's the thing that connects everyone together right there, right now. And that's the reason why I don't know you at all, but because you're wearing an Arsenal shirt, I just feel like we should agree on something. So I'm cool with the fact that you're an Arsenal fan, and then I can just talk to you like that, right? That's it. Number 4, he says they need to believe in something bigger than themselves. They need something to believe in. So when you're designing experiences for your team members or for community members or for your clients or for your customers, if there's nothing for them to believe in, they would always find something better. A lot of people keep saying that you just need to give them something good. And it's true, yeah. Logic with all this, you can sell logic, but you can't sell just logic, because there will always be a bigger logic, there will always be a better logic, right? You say the reason why you are better is because you have a 16 gig RAM. In 1 year or in 6 months, somebody will bring out 32 gig RAM. And then you are stuck and you're really trying to figure out why exactly you're not selling to this client, to these customers, right? There's a reason why people who use Mac keep on spending huge money for a 16 gig RAM Mac when they could use that same amount of money to buy a 32 gig RAM system elsewhere, right? It is not because 16 gig RAM Mac is the best in quotes, right? It's not because of that. It's just basically because there's something about Mac that makes them want to buy a Mac, and it's not because of what Mac is. I see a lot of guys who try to sound like they are so logic and they are mentioning all the specs and everything. And I just look at them and laugh because at the end of the day, the reason why they bought that thing is really not because of the spec. It's probably because somebody told them to buy it, or because someone they felt a way, they had this feeling they had when they bought that particular thing. So if you really want to design better experience, you want to shape up your brand to a certain way, right? You need to be able to design something that they can believe in. There are so many examples of it. For example, there's Nike. Nike has consistently evolved their brand by giving you things that you can believe in, subtly or outsidely, something you can associate yourself with, right? One of the most recent ones was the one with Colin Kaepernick, when he said, believe in something, even if it means losing everything. The sweet part of that was that it doesn't really mean that Nike cares about whether you lose something or not. It doesn't really mean that Nike cares about believing in something, but they do know that for them to sell, for people to really understand and see them in the way they want to be seen, they needed to be rebellious at that moment, right? And then they held on to that statement, and then everybody, it after like probably antagonizing them for like the first 1 to 2 months, everybody began to like adopt it because to them it's they could relate to it in their own context. And I'm going to get to that part. They could relate to it in their own context. They could really figure out that, wow, I gave up all of these things to learn this thing, and then it's cutting it out for me. I gave up. I dropped out of school to learn music, and it's cutting out for me. So yeah, Nike is the brand for me. Nike really gets me. Because Nike gets me, of course, Nike is probably the best person I should buy from. It doesn't really happen directly that way, but that's exactly how it happens. Do you understand? Uh, so they need something to believe in. And I mentioned these 4 things because they are the mistakes I made when I hired 23 people. Because they are so different, but there was no consensus, right? Nobody really understood why we did what we did. They didn't really understood why they existed in the company. And it was just, for them to just there, for them to just being part of something. And for a 19-year-old CEO, it's a lot. I mean, you'll be reading a lot of books. You've been trying to figure out how to run your company, how to be the next. I didn't know Elon Musk then. Probably the next Bill Gates or the next. I hated Zuckerberg, but probably the next Peter Thiel. You just really have a nice company, really good company, and then you thought that everything just boils down to making more money. But that it turns out that was like the biggest lie, right? You needed to really figure out. You need to really figure out all of these major things. So what we did was that in June of 2018, we changed strategy. And what made me change strategy then was not just because I figured out these were problems, but it was because we were trying to increase our prices and we're trying to get newer clients. But to get newer clients, we needed, and to increase our price, we needed to up our skills. And then I had to figure out how, because we're a team of 23 and only about 2 people had really good skills. How can I scale up these skills, right? How can I ensure that these guys can learn better? And this is where the mind games came in. I call them mind games because they are mind games. So what we did was we changed strategy. And the strategy we changed was not some 15 minutes, 25 minutes, or 10-week session. It was just a question that we asked everybody. And the question we asked was simple. I asked everyone, what is one thing we all do effortlessly? Every single person in the company, what's one thing we think we all do that you do and every other person does? I need to figure out, because remember I said it, that with diversity is key, consensus is the door. I needed to figure out exactly. While everyone is different, some people smoke, some people drink, uh, some people codate, amongst many others. Amongst so many others. Some people do many things at many times, right? and need to really figure out exactly what connects all of us together. Some of us go to church, some of us go to mosque, some of us don't even care about church and mosque. Some of us go to club every day. Some of us don't like clubs at all. Some of us are quiet. Some of us talk a lot. So we are consistently different. But there needed to be something. What exactly connects everyone together? What is the one thing that makes everybody um, on one page? And I asked this question to every single person, right? And the funny thing was, after I asked this question, people I knew that I was going to sack, I still asked them the same question. But then I asked the question, and their answer was unanimous. And this was probably the best strategy project I've ever worked on since I knew what strategy was, right? Every single one of them answered the same thing in different ways, but the same thing. And the answer was that we can be ourselves. And I'm like, whoa. Everyone said this in one word on another. The idea was that everyone, no matter who they are or where they are from, can be themselves. And it busted my head really because I never thought about it that way. I never thought about the fact that this was what leads to that. I was thinking it was probably going to be something like teamwork or something like I don't know, something like transparency. But it didn't. It really didn't matter to them how much money comes into the company or goes out. What matters to them was being able to be themselves, not being able to constrain themselves to some policy or some ideology of how a company employee should be. And it was super enlightening. And so you guys remember when I was telling the story about interns? So this was what we used to hire those interns. But the fun thing was because every intern that came in was being themselves. We hired every single one of them, including the guy that uh was like he doesn't care about teamwork and shit. We hired him not too. And when we hired him, we made the mistake I said we made about volume. Uh we hired him and then don't before I continue, we hired him and when we hired him, certain we had certain we had certain projects that we worked on. And you see that thing he complained about, he did it also again. And we're trying to like, okay, I was like, okay, let's see whether we can actually help him better. It did not work. It did not work for him at all. And then at the end of the internship session, we're supposed to pick two people to stay with us for a longer while. And when I chose those two people, I chose Kilani and Adi Victor and Baje. I chose the two of them. And I can remember some guys were asking me why I chose those two because they were the least skilled. And I remember I told them that the reason why I chose these guys was because they are like every other person. They're like us, right? They are not trying to be something so that they can get something from us. They're just being themselves. They're trying to do the best they can. I can see that they're doing the best they can in everything they do. And when we figured this out, how do we use information was the first thing we did was that I told them one way or the other, be yourself, but understand responsibility. I didn't tell them directly this way, but that's what I meant. And what I did was I said that I don't care who you are, own it. Own yourself, own who you are. You drink Hennessy, drink. You smoke Igbo, smoke. You Muslim, Christian, introvert, do whatever you are. Yeah, be that, right? But much more importantly is that you should be able to have every other person's back to know when it hurts them, right? And the picture here was Bas when we for the Akada Fest project we worked on last year, August, where he danced to Waji. I can remember when he was dancing, we were all pointing and saying, dance, go and dance, go and dance, go and dance, because we knew he was a dancer. He was a really, really good dancer. We knew that he was going to love dancing. He was probably, I think it was at first, he was probably being hesitant because I mean we ran the event and I'm like, bro, go and dance, bro, go and dance, enjoy yourself. And it's one of many things that we push our guys to do. I'll give you guys one story. On this particular day, we had a really, really tight deadline and we did an overnight. During this overnight, we were about five, and the five people were me, Baz, Theophilus, Kilani, and Timmy. I think Pelumi. And we're trying to work, we're trying to hit this deadline. It was somewhere around 12 a.m. and deadline was for 7 a.m. And I could remember that all of a sudden Theophilus was looking at this, was glancing at this phone and he was dropping, glancing at his phone and dropping. I was like, what half Theophilus, what's up? He was like, he's chatting with this person and the person is ghosting me. I said, who is the person you're chatting with? He said, a girl. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. I said, what did she talk? He said nothing, that she just kept short. I said, I said, okay. I said, guys, all of a sudden, Baz now said, how far are you now? Nobody feel ghost me like that. She was like, no, it's not like that now. Baz said, bring the phone. So he brought the phone, he saw this stuff and said, now you fuck up. So Baz replied, the girl replied back. And you're like, oh, she replied back. It's like, yeah. So he said, now said it's time for you to get back at her. And then the fun part of what I was trying to get at is that every single one of us dropped what we were doing to ensure that Alaye became happy. So we spent the next 1 hour, like 5 people were chatting with one girl, but she didn't know, thinking it was just one person. And we're just like replying her if she was replying back up until when we ghosted her. And we did that from 12 a.m. to like 2 a.m. And then from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. we got back to our work. And that was the way we were every time. We constantly had our back. And this was not because I had some meeting and saying that from now on, you guys should have each other's back, because it doesn't make sense, right? It wasn't going to work. So if you are a customer or if you're a business trying to get customers, right, and you're trying to set a tone or you're trying to set a culture, what you shouldn't do is say it outright. So they say, if you say out and say we are transparent, people would not believe you, right? Like someone say, put your money where your mouth is. Basically, you don't even need to put your mouth at all. Just put your money there, basically. You want to be transparent, be transparent, right? Be actually transparent. You don't have to say you are transparent. When you are transparent, people will say you are transparent. You understand? So that was the first thing we did. The next thing we did was don't be a yes man. These were the two sub strategies of our core, right? Our core being authenticity, being yourself. The second was don't be a yes man. And what I said is what the way I said it to them was, I'm not going to make you guys better design. I don't want you guys to be better designers. That's not my goal. That's not my aim. What I want is for you guys to grow to the point where you can tell me I'm wrong. And the fun part is that you'll become a better designer anyway, right? So although these guys, when I got hiring, right, when I got this team, right, I told every single one of them, I want you guys to be able to see me do something and tell me, no, Craig, you're fucking wrong. And it took 2 months, but it happened anyway, right? I can remember the day it happened, I was happy. Basically, I was legit happy that yes, it finally. They didn't know that it had happened, yeah, but it happened, and then it happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again, and then I knew that yes, we've gotten to this point, and obviously you could see their work changing. They were basically handling projects on their own. They were leading projects, handling concepts on their own, all on their own. But they didn't know that they had gotten to that point. All they knew was that they had gotten to the point where, like, say right, they can say left, basically. That's like really, really crazy on that end. So what did I learn? First things first is you don't decide culture, you nurture it. You can't create culture from anything. So when we are building things like brand culture, you're trying to build business culture, it doesn't just come from thin air, basically. So when you're trying to design people's experiences, what you want to really do is go down to its atom. What's their attitude? What's their behavior? How does it translate to habits, interactions, engagement? What is the consensus, and how can you build a culture from that? The mistake I made at the beginning was I was deciding and saying, this is what we want to be, right? But the moment I switched and began to say, who are we all together, it began to make more sense, right? And so before I was going to say, this is what we want to be, and then I'll give projects, and then at the end of the day, I ended up doing it myself. But then by the time I decided that, okay, this is what we all are. This is not just me imposing my ideas on you guys or my thoughts on you guys. This is me, this is us saying this is what we want to become, right? And the moment we did that, everything changed, right? Neptune was not just Prince Philemon CEO or Okafor Triple CEO. No, it wasn't that, right? Neptune was way beyond that. And the next one I also learned was that the right culture might not be your own culture. You're a founder, you're a business, you want to run a culture, you want to shape your brand. The fun part of it is that you might not be the one to decide what culture you want. It could be your team members, it could be your customers. What you really need to do is listen and be humble to understand when you can't make it, right? The humility to let your guard down and simply watch can be the difference between a successful brand and a fuck up, right? And so when a lot of times when I do brand identity or branding for customers, and sometimes I just know that this particular founder's idea is not the best for the company, right? A lot of people think that every brand should be a rebel, and it's a lie. You don't need to be a rebel to be successful. Sometimes you just need to conform. You just need to be normal. You don't need to. You just need to be part of the social construct. You can be different, but be part of the social construct. Something that people are comfortable seeing. Not everybody needs to be Elon Musk to be successful, and that's where a lot of tech guys miss it. Every tech guy wants to be a disruptor. You don't have to disrupt, right? Being able to understand that your personal wishes and the culture that works right for your brand or for your business are two different things is very, very important, because the first brand 101 says that your business is different from you. Even though, yes, you directly influence your business as business owners, your business is different from you. Sometimes, in a lot of times, you might intersect, and then the intersection might be the core and center. At other times, they might not be equal at all, and yet it could be other people or a group of people or a set of audience that can actually build up that culture. Being able to understand these things and actually recognize them and use them is the difference between a successful brand and a big ass fuck up. Another thing would be culture is contextual. Apply it that way. Remember when I told you guys I asked them this question and said, what is common? What is the one thing we all do effortlessly? I did not ask it that way to everybody, right? Like, remember I asked one person saying that what's the one thing you like about me? And what's the one thing you like about every other person in the company? That's the way I asked somebody. Another person I asked the person, if you were asked to use one word to describe everybody, what word would it be? And I asked it differently to everybody, and then I got the same answer, right? Understand that every individual is different. So what you want to do is develop a pattern, not an outcome. You don't want every person to have one way of uh, delivering or responding to your brand. If that is what you have, then you don't have an audience. You just simply have a socialist, not a you have a dictatorship basically, right? You don't want to form a particular outcome. You want to form a pattern, right? A pattern of loyalty and trust. How these guys, how they represent and act out loyalty can be very different. Not can be, will be very different. And you need to understand and respect that. And you should be able to cater to those specifically. Do you understand? So being able to to separate those things, to separate outcome from patterns are quite very, very important. And that's the reason why Coca-Cola, the reason why they do their ads in Nigeria in it's a goal ad is totally different from what they did in the USA, because the cultures are different, right? Asha had this session yesterday on diversity, and we were discussing about how you need to directly communicate with the people of a particular tradition, a particular circle, to really understand their culture and design and serve them within that context. So the reason how they sell coke in Nigeria is different from the way how they sell coke in Ghana, or probably different from the way they sell coke in Tanzania. And understanding these things are quite important. So if you probably have, some people have products that are between 25 to 75, right? The funny thing is that the way you would sell to the millennials will be different from the way you sell to the Gen Zs, and totally different from the way you would sell to the 60 plus or the 50 pluses, right? But the funny part is that we sell to everyone the same way, and then we fuck up consistently, right? And we keep saying that our stuff is not working out well and shit. And that's where you make a problem. the patterns can actually be common to everyone, but the way those patterns are actually applied based on context can bring out different outcomes. The aim of brands is to build loyalty, right? Is to build loyalty. The aim of brands, the reason why brands exist is to build loyalty. It's not to make more money or to make more profit. Brands exist because loyalty is the buying power. It's the bargaining power of businesses in the 21st century, right? So that's culture. And lastly, and this is the most important one, it won't matter if you don't do it. Set precedents. If you want someone to do something, do it yourself, right? If you want them to have each other's back, have their backs, right? If you want them to support your decision in certain places, support their own decisions, right? Sometimes their decisions can be insane. You probably tweak it a little bit, but support it nonetheless, right? They want to do a magazine, support it. Say you did for them. They want to launch a business, tell them you be their co-founder, whatever. Just support it nonetheless. Just show them that you care for them, and then they will go to the ends of the earth for you. I don't I don't know who wouldn't, basically, right? I don't know who wouldn't. Um, just before I continue, let me answer your first question. First says, if culture is built around people based on diversity and consensus, does that mean when people move on and a newer set join, the culture the brand has upheld should change? No, and the reason is that when the newer sets are joining, they are joining with the idea that a culture already exists, right? And then when they join, the funny thing is that the culture has to be flexible to adapt to that new set, not change, adapt, right? So usually when they move on, the people moving on and new sets coming in always have a link of referral, a chain of referral, and that chain of referral deals with ensuring that the newer set knows what to expect, right? And that's the reason why how people have consistently thought about Coke since Coke started about over 50 years ago is similar. The patterns are similar to the way we currently think about Coke. Yet the culture that Coke currently forms has definitely evolved away from that point. Do you understand? Coke had constantly evolved away from a product-based company up on from a product-based company to a service-based company now to an abstract feeling-based company, right? So now all they deal with is it's not the taste, it's not how they deliver it to you, it's just particularly around how you feel when you drink it, right? So the culture would definitely evolve. Do you understand? The culture will definitely evolve, and the newer set who are coming in would definitely have a link to the old set and expect something to happen. However, when they come in, the mistake any brand would make would be to remain to serve that newer set the way they serve the older set. That would be the biggest mistake. What they would need to do instead, right, would be that they would need to adapt that culture to the new set, right? So the culture doesn't change, it just simply adapts. Just like the Yoruba culture is adapting, basically. That's the essence of culture. Culture evolves. There's no culture that's why I keep saying, like, in the next 50 years, they're all shouting gay, 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 trans is bad, basically. In the next 50 to 100 years, gay will be normal, right? Being gay would be something that anybody can be anywhere and anyhow, because it's a culture. It's just going to start one way. What we currently find acceptable today, 10, 20, 30 years ago was a taboo, right? And because we're in the 21st century, the evolution of culture is fast and crazy and quick because of IT and information being shared faster and everything. So culture changes, right? Culture changes. The patterns that form inside cultures are called traditions, but culture in itself changes and it's easily flexible and evolves. That's the reason why the Yorubas in Nigeria are different from the Yorubas in Brazil, and they are different from the Yorubas in Ghana. The culture had to adapt to the environment they are in. Um, but most importantly, and this is the biggest thing I've learned, would be it takes time, right? If you want to shape your brand or design people's experiences, it is not a 2-month thing. What I just explained to you took about 2 years of mistakes and iterations. I'm not saying that if you learn all of these things, you're going to hire right. You probably wouldn't hire right. You probably would hire some fucktard who will probably fuck up your business for you, and you need to fire the person, right? And then you hire again based on that. The idea of culture, the idea of building stuff is that you get to iterate. If you don't get to iterate, then you're doing nothing basically. So you get to iterate. So it takes time. It takes time. And then the question in your head is, what do we do when we say we are brand designers? Or what do you do when we say we are brand identity designers? Firstly, is the fact that logos won't build loyalty or trust. I've not seen anywhere where logos build loyalty and trust. It never does, right? Nobody buys from you because they trust you because of your logo. No, it doesn't do that, right? What it does, however, is that it helps you recognize who owns the trust you have. So you trust that you buy your laptop from somebody worthy. How do you know that this laptop you can trust it? You just need to see that logo on it, and you see that logo and you know, okay, this person did this logo, then I can trust it. It allows you to associate it to the brand. So a logo is most likely not the message. That's why I say a logo doesn't communicate. A logo is not the message. A logo is not the sender. A logo is the medium. It's the medium of buying, it's the medium of selling, it's the medium of almost anything. Allows you to be able to identify, to know it is right for you or it's not right for you. Allows you to be able to know who should own your trust and collect your money. That's what logos do. So as a brand identity designer, the question you're asking yourself is, if I know that building a brand, right, or creating a brand takes time, what's my place in it? Your place is simply to not to build a foundation, a visual foundation for the brand currently, and to ensure that when the brand is being built, right, the visual foundation is strong enough to accommodate whatever loyalty the brand accumulates. That's what your work is. And so when you're doing that logo right now, you're not doing that logo from the position of the brand is a shoe brand. You're doing a logo in the position of in the next 10 years, if this shoe brand has hundreds or thousands of people, how well can this logo associate itself with this brand without being confused with another brand? That is your work as an identity designer. That being said, this is what I did, and I'm really looking forward to what you would do if you were in my shoes, or if no, you're not in my shoes. Don't tell me what you do if you're in my shoes. You probably fuck up. And it's me talking proudly. But I'm talking about a point of if you were in your shoes, in your own case, what would you do? You can probably hit me up, send a message, send a DM, chat about it or something. But basically, that's what I did. Any questions right now? Any questions? So these are the guys who are in the tribe, in case you guys are wondering. The tribe or the logo of the tribe of Philemon is the master brand, but the logo of the tribe is the M dash. Basically, the M dash is our core identity. It's not some icon. It's just the M dash. And the idea to the M dash, I'm just explaining this. The idea to the M dash is that whenever the letter comes behind it or beside after it has to be doubled. And the way, how do we know where the M dash is being placed is that whenever you double that letter and you pronounce the word, it needs to sound similar or almost the same as when the M dash was not there at all. So Theodore Kilani, Hadufe, Ayonfe, Baz, Sheun, Adebito, Tulu, Debbie, Mudia, Akwelumi, plus GCFR. We are the tribe. So one of the things we are working on, just before you ask your questions, one of the things the tribe is working on this year is we are currently working on a journal to chronicle all our experiences, explicit experiences as a team over the last 2 years. And by explicit, I'm talking about the club part, the high part, the low part, when somebody was shouting, when someone was drunk and was shouting for 3 hours in the night. Those stories, the stories that really, really form the bonds that we currently are today, basically. We're currently working on a book project to actually document all of those things and share with the community for a fee for us. Basically, that's it from me. Thank you for listening, basically. So any questions from anybody? Any questions at all? Any questions? And just, yeah, any questions? Any questions, anyone? Leslie, are there questions on the YouTube channel? I don't know. By the way, my dad just congratulated me for Arsenal winning. In case you missed it, right? Just in case you missed it. Just in case you missed it. Arsenal won their 14th FA Cup. With Aubameyang scoring 2-1. It's not an easy thing, but we did it. We did it.
Aubameyang.
So like, guy, I mean, we fucking won that thing. Guy, my heart was in my mouth, basically.
Guy.
So low key, right? This class was supposed to happen. Was it 5 p.m.? I had to beg Lex to push to 8 p.m. because I can't miss this match. Okay, I was watching the match during 18. Anyways, guys, any questions really? Let's leave. Is there any questions from the YouTube channel?
Like in an awesome session.
Thanks, man. David, get out. Leave me alone. Leave us alone. FA Cup. Man, you win anything this year?
Is man, you should calm down. You have not won anything. You only took our space. But guess what? We have a cup.
It's not good to feel less.
We have a cup. So, like, what's your excuse? Like, you had a coach for an entire season. We had a coach for half a season. And look at us now.
Yeah, someone has a question. Tolu says someone has a question. Can you ask, please? Guys, you can ask any question. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be around. You can ask me a question about a particular person that you know is in the tribe, or what happened. Was there any scenario when they did this particular thing? Well, anything at all, just ask the question. And if I can answer, it's not embarrassing enough to these guys. I'll answer it. And speaking of it, sorry,
about empathy.
Yeah, he said I should not worry anymore. I think he said I guess I've answered it. He said, what's the role of empathy in building a culture? But just to reiterate, empathy is everything in building a culture. Because a culture, you can't build a culture alone, right? You can't build a culture alone. Empathy is everything. Being able to understand that you are not alone. Being able to understand that you are because every other person is, right? Is what a culture is, right? Remember when I said it earlier on, I said that you can be yourself, but you need to understand responsibility. Understand that whenever you can compare whenever it is being yourself versus hurting somebody else, fuck being yourself and save that person, right? That is going out of the way to have somebody else's back. And it's something that we didn't explicitly call it empathy in our own end. We just called it having each other's back. And it's something we did. It's something we did consistently. Well, I will give you guys a story. One of the things we did was that I could remember last year, December, we had this particular event we were supposed to work on, but all of a sudden we didn't know it was an event design. And when we charged for it, we charge for event design basically. So usually when we charge, we charge generally we charge the client, not the project. And then when we're doing the project, we discovered that we're going to need to do environmental design and sound design, and these things were pretty much outside our initial brand identity event branding budget. So it turned out that we needed to spend the money that we intended on taking the entire team to Lagos to attend the event to actually outsource it to a sound design agency and then work on the environmental design. So when it was time, I personally knew that my guys needed to go, but I also knew that we didn't have enough money to actually sponsor them. What I did was I hit my guys up and said, guys, I know you want to go, yeah? What I can do is I can get you guys your money for the month early, 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the initial date. And then I will collab our money together. I would not stay in a really expensive hotel. We'll stay in a cheap hotel together and manage the money up until we are done in Lagos. And so what we did was they all got their cash and they came into Lagos. And then whoever is writing Neptune, and that person is K. They came into Lagos, and then I left where I was and I came to join them in Yaba. We had this horrible hotel in Yaba that was at 6K per month. We got 2 rooms, 3 person per room, and then we all were inside that room together. And something happened in the room, and this is quite embarrassing. I'm going to say it because it's really, really important. And then we stayed in the room, and the next day we were supposed to go to the event itself. And I think I remember when we went to the event, we were on 0 naira, like in Lagos on 0 naira, and we needed to leave Lagos the next day. Miracle happened one way or the other, and the money entered our one person's account, and the person took it and I was like, guys, let's go to Ife instead, instead of Lagos. Let's just like flex a bit. And I can remember that was when TIF pixels happened. I don't know who came with TIF pixels, where that was another case of where nobody was smoking or doing anything until we entered, and they took the sticks, and then everybody started just went everywhere. So we went to Ife all on everybody's money, and then finally we came back to Akure. We entered Akure with just 600 naira or 1,000 naira. We entered Akure with just 1,000 naira, and it was one of the most memorable days of having these guys as team members, because I've never seen anything like having each other's back like that day. It was really, really, really crazy. TJIPS was probably one of the mediums where we showed the outer public how we acted in company. Because these guys were just puffing smoke. Oh God Almighty. We're puffing smoke and drinking together. And it was really, really funny, right? Because nobody was puffing smoke before we got there. Nobody was puffing smoke. I think I just got in and we just brought it out and like, okay, I'll get drinks. And everybody saw us doing it, and everybody started getting their own drinks out and getting their own smokes out. And then probably because they did it late, I don't know. Everybody started getting their own stuff out, and then it just became a smoke drink party. I can remember one of the games we had was Media versus me, right? Uh, who came out and this guy just shouted and said, Kilani just jumped up and said, first person to finish a stick. I'm like, Jesus, this guy is not well. And then we was like, yeah, let's do it now. And then we did it for like 45 seconds, and my head was turning. And I'm like, I'm not doing it again this night again. But then it was basically the life of the party. And like I said, right? You guys would have seen the guys I was talking about. Basically the center. They're basically the center of everything. Basically, I did not decide I wanted to be authentic. They did, and I was just humble enough to recognize that this is what would keep everyone together. So even after I left Neptune, I see how these guys having my back, and we have the tribe, and the aim basically is to just be able to. The aim of the tribe is to be able to build a nation of designers who are true to themselves, who, because they think, who are extroverts, but they are forcing themselves to be introverts, and who are introverts forcing themselves to be extroverts, to just be able to stay in their own skin, believe that this is who they are, and just leave it out. Basically, that's basically what it is. So, yeah. Any other question, basically? Any question? Any question? Any question? Anybody have a question? No one. Leslie, question day YouTube. Not even check YouTube. My dad and mom are congratulating me.
The question on YouTube, funny enough, there aren't a lot of people actually watching on YouTube, which is strange. But I mean, it's cool. It's good that the video is going to be available for posterity. So anytime you want to catch up on this video, just visit our YouTube channel. And while you're there, help us grow our channel by subscribing. So
Amazing. All right then. Thank you guys. Okay, yeah. Someone asked the question: how do I get my hands on courses on strategy?
that's a very key question. Like one of the things I usually struggle with is strategy, and I know that like strategy is a very big word that gets thrown around a lot in our industry and even outside of our industry. And if you really break down what it means. It's basically you setting a goal, and then the strategy is basically how the method and the methodology that you're going to employ to get, to achieve that goal. And within the context of business, a lot of us, I found that a lot of us designers uh, are shamefully, and I'm saying that word to include myself, we are shamefully lacking in that aspect. So yes, it will be it will be very big help to us if we can find resources and things that talk extensively about strategy, how to employ strategy when approaching brands, how to employ strategy when you run our own businesses. So yeah.
So I think that the way I learned strategy was hands-on, basically. But I started learning strategy when I wanted to increase my prices. And one of the things I did was I stalked Christo on YouTube, basically. Followed him over and over and over again. I used his culture, customer, impact, feel, X factor, voice framework for a while. And then I bought this book by Kaplan and Norton. And the book is called The Strategy Focused Organization. And it was a follow-up on the Balanced Scorecard. These are two books that talk about business strategy. And then I also, but one thing I did was I just did strategy, right? One of the things I did was I began to partner with people who already do strategy, and I partnered with them for free, basically. And then I would stay under their session. Then I also talk about how much I know strategy. I can remember one of the real strategy all real strategy sessions I was in was for a new brand, a new filling station who was trying to rebrand, and I I was invited by first class to join the session, and I also learned a lot basically from that session. Even though I was like saying no, you should do this right, you should do this right. And another thing that made me another book you should read is Start with Why by Simon Sinek. It talks really strong about brand strategy. Uh, Another book you should read is Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. Another book you should read is Lots of Strategy. I think that's enough. And the thing about brand strategy is that a lot of people think that it's 500 pages or 400 pages of words. But the thing to it is that the best strategy are probably no more than 1 page or 2 pages. It just needs to be something that everybody can connect to and understand straight up, right? I told you guys the strategy for building Tribe to what it is today and to what it would be was just one question, right? What do we do effortlessly, basically? So strategy is the word is big, but strategy is simple. It's just saying that what are the plans we need to take to achieve a certain thing. So if you have a certain kind of loyalty you want to achieve, you want people to be able to trust you, you want people to be able to line up to buy your product. That's your objective, that's your goal, that's your loyalty goal, right? The brand strategy is simply saying what are the things our brand needs to be or our brand needs to do to become that thing that people would line up for. That's what brand strategy is. It doesn't follow a certain doesn't follow a certain doesn't follow a certain line or a certain mission, vision, whatever. It's good. It depends basically. So that's what it is. Then you can also probably buy the futures course of strategy. It's quite expensive though. Someone's asking, do you do trainings? When people ask, if yes, how many months do I do trainings? I'm thinking about it. I'm really not sure I should start doing trainings right now. The last time I did trainings, I almost died, so I'm scared of starting on that one basically. But yeah, there are plans around doing trainings.
There are lots of plans around doing trainings, and praise, don't
Yeah.
even worry about it. We are going to work together.
Leslie is working on something actually for you guys, so I'm really happy to actually partner with him. There are plans around it, and how many months I don't know. It really depends. It really depends. It took Theophilus 2 years and counting of work with me. Kilani is like 4 months and counting. Balumi is 4 years and counting. It's really fun, basically. Yeah. And if anybody is itching to ask the question, can I join the tribe? The answer is no. But the reason is exclusive for a reason. Can't join, but there's something we do once in a while. Something we do once in a while. I think we might probably make public once in a while. We call it coven meetings. And the reason why it's called coven meetings is two things. Number one, it's done in the night. It's usually 3 to 4 hours. It's done in the night on Google Meet between the hours of 11 and 3. We never do it in the day, just in the night. And what we do is that we talk about everything. everything from Big Brother Niger to being sarcastic, and then one way or the other, it just links up to some new design knowledge. It could come from me, it could come from somebody else, any which way, basically. It's just what we do. It's always good. The fun thing about it is that we get to know each other every day, every time we have that call. It's easy for us to be able to have each other's backs, basically. Know what's going on with you, when it is going on with you, how it is going on with you. I like to have the common meeting. And then, yeah, we gossip, basically. We gossip about who is fucked up. I can remember one day we were arguing about a particular designer. I gave like 2 hours, basically. Like, no, yes, no, yes. And inside did not know. But basically, yeah, it is. That's what it is, basically. The people are secret cults. Yes, we are a fraternity. I don't intend to turn against that. We are a fraternity. Take it to court. We're a fraternity. Any other questions? Basically, we are basically Leslie, but a lot of people, right? You know that Shazam movie where a lot of kids come together and shout Shazam, then it turns to Leslie. Basically, if we all shout Shazam, we'll turn to Leslie. That's where it is. They said, but we love God. No, not everybody loves God in the tribe. It's like you missed the memo, right? We could be anything, basically. You could love God, you could be a pagan, you could be atheist. It's not the religion that connects everyone together. It's just being able to own who you are without imposing it on somebody else, right? Just being yourself. That's what we are. Some people are herbalists. Theophilus is probably an herbalist. I don't know. Theophilus is deeper life. I forgot to mention. And Kilani is Muslim. He did later yesterday. For me, I am Christian, pastor's son. Bas, Belumi, it be things, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Tolu used to be a VP, but I mean, everybody's different, right? Some people don't go to church for years. Some people go to church every day, right? So it's not religion that connects everyone together here at the end of the day, basically. So that's it for us. I was supposed to talk about some really abstract thing, but I really thought that it was going to be fun to open the ash of the tribe in front of everybody, so you guys can really understand who we are and what we do, so that when they accuse us in the future, you guys can defend us. Consider this us shaping our brand, in case you don't know. Leslie, any question? Any other question? Any other question? Anyone?
All right, so this is almost 9:30, and
Yeah.
it's been really awesome. Thank you so much, Praise. Thank you so much for even coming at short notice.
Come on.
Really
Cool.
happy. Thanks.
That's not word again, guys. You guys can see it.
Arsenal what? God, the bands this night will be sweet.
Yeah.
You be troublemaker alone. You still can't carry praise join body. I ask now get troublemaker side.
But I just get your mega, so they don't just talk right now. Basically, don't just talk.
They are more.
On
On a vibes, yeah. On a vibes.
So thank you guys for coming.
Guys, thanks
for making this a reality. Thank you, Praise, so much. And I think the next DTalk will be happening in 2 weeks from now. And we'll communicate who's going to be showing up for that. Praise, last words.
What is that?
Any last words? Any last?
Yeah. Any last words? I wouldn't say may the force be with you, but I don't watch Star Trek, so I'm probably just going to.
You misgendered a movie. It's Star Wars.
Oh really? So if Sheldon was here, he would have killed me, but he's not here. May God be with you, but that's not probably my last. My last word would actually be, you don't have to be authentic to have a culture, right? If you need to lie to be your culture, as long as you're true to your lie, lie go, basically. Peace out, basically. Peace out. Thank you, every single person that joined, really. I really appreciate. You guys can hit me up on Twitter and look at my trouble, by the way. I'm currently jobless.
Oh, Allah. Make money together. All right, guys. Over and out. This is Leslie representing Design Jobcaster. And thank you, guys. We'll be seeing you guys in 2 weeks. Maybe next weekend will probably be for Rated R. If you guys are into really vulgar conversations around design. If you guys are into that sort of stuff, expect us by next week. All right, so see you guys. Stay blessed. Enjoy the weekend. And one last time, Gunners for life, baby. Ah, God. You know what? Like, do you know what's actually making me happy about this entire victory? Yeah.
What?
Like, I feel for the Chelsea team because I want to believe that they actually put their best. You know, and they have like really good players. And I also feel for them because they had players that were injured in the course of this pursuit. But you see that Giroud there? You see that Giroud? Ah, God, he sweet me. Yeah. That bastard denied us Europa last season. That bastard denied us Europa last season. So you see, was it the first or the last to score? I can't really remember. But
the last one now. He was on assisted police himself.
So but you still no collect, you collect from your hand. Oh God, it's sweet me. Sweet me.
I like police having that injury though, and the red card. It was like the red card they gave us was the payback for the red card they didn't give. Was it Jorginho one time like that?
Yeah.
Remember when they were supposed to give him the red card? I think it was Europa too. They didn't give him. They just gave Kovacic straight up. Good for us. We deserve it though. We deserve it. We did it hard. Just imagine playing an entire season without European football. That's crazy.
Oh man, Jesus, fucking dope. Man U fans will have us for lunch, breakfast, and dinner, man. Jesus.
Just imagine if there are Tottenham fans in Nigeria.
Oh God, Tottenham! Oh Jesus Christ, they still exist. Like that one team that they are all play but no trophies, man, and it's sad.
Yeah, no matter what they do, 0 trophy for life. No matter what they do, man. You guys are still here to hear us chat. We got playing gone.
No, please. If you want to shalaye with us, you know, like soccer bands and stuff like that, you can hang around.
I thought that Tottenham won a trophy. Like when was that?
Like the fact that you have to remember, you have to
never
think about.
I swear, never.
It's never true. They used to win now. They win three. Community Shield maybe.
They never won.
It's a trophy now.
Not true, my brother. Not true.
Except probably you're talking about the International Champions Cup they used to win during preseason. You can win that one for all I care.
Yeah. And please, you have to be rubbing this thing in our faces. You can change this slide now.
Not anytime soon. I added this last minute. Not anytime soon. We'll watch it out at the end of this stuff. But the only team to have as much or probably more than as much as FA Cup titles as Arsenal is Arsenal women. Do you know what that means?
God damn.
You know what that means?
Women better than you.
Okay. Wait.
FA Cup winners.
People won this. You said in 2017, right?
Yeah, no.
We did back to back now.
Okay.
2 years
okay. So after you won it, what happened to Europa? Did you win the Europa?
No, we didn't. We are that unfortunate, but we didn't.
And Giroud was instrumental to ensuring that we did not win it. But today, oh Lord,
I was so happy, man.
There was a tear in my guy's eye. He was crying. Oh Lord.
I'm so happy. Like,
and tears broke my heart.
Okay.
Like my heart
today was not a day, yo.
Oh yeah, Chelsea fan.
Oh.
Yep, I am.
So,
I should have known that. I'm discussing with you like a mature person. I forgot the banter you did.
Oh my god.
It's not you talk mature talk.
Lampard is the way.
I'm in pains.
Like do you see Lampard? Can you compare Lampard to Arteta? Lampard where he don't chop. No, he's no longer working out again. He looks like low budget Roy Hodgson.
Oh,
What the fuck are you doing?
You didn't go there, fam.
Guy, I will go anywhere I want.
My God. Okay.
No budget.
Don't worry, praise it.
Is what? Is what? Is what? Lampard has higher
Oh,
coaching
good,
experience
sir.
than Arteta. Lampard has higher coaching experience than Arteta, and Arteta still won him. Just half season for Christ's sake. You carry Tammy Abraham, but he can't be father of all nations. And just father of Chelsea, you're about to do nonsense.
Okay. Well, sir, I wish you people well in Europa. Let's hope that you win it.
Don't wish us well. Don't wish us well.
You don't need.
Wish yourself bad luck. Just wish yourself anything you want to wish yourself. Don't wish us anything. Don't wish us anything. Leave us alone.
All right, so let's call it a night. Thank you guys very much again. Jesus, I really can't even. I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying thank you, of thanking you guys. Like it's you guys are the best. Thank you so much, right? And I really hope that you guys took something from this fire session that Praise has brought for us. Thank you guys. Thank you, Praise, and bye.